Metric killing your wealth. Real interest rates used by government to rob you blind. Brandon Gentili here. Misdirection and misinformation. The mainstream media, the financial news, and financial planners have everyone looking at the wrong metrics. Does this surprise you? What's new? That's all well and good if you're trying to boost politicians' popularity, keep the people at bay, or boost your own fees, boost your own industry to make sure you get paid, no matter if the market's going up or down, you getting your fees. However, it helping, is it? Is it helping at all? Is it helping the average person keep their wealth or stay ahead of inflation or be on track for retirement or have enough money to last at the end of their life? You tell me. Again, we've gone through our past videos. You can go check them out. The average 401k is $133,000 a month right now. The median has $33,000 a month. You tell me if that's the right direction we need to continue going. Because of metrics like this, of things they keep from you, they don't teach you in school, simple little things like how to make sure you're not losing your wealth, losing your time and energy to the elites, not the elites, the unproductive class. How do we know that we are going the right direction and gaining wealth? Well, we don't, because we're not taught in school. We're not taught by the academia, by the financial service industry. We're not taught by any of that because they want you to come to them and siphon fees off away from you through fees, or the government wants to siphon it off through a lack of transparency, as you'll see here in a minute, so they can inflate the currency away and stealth tax you. This is how they do it. This is one of the big things. Once you understand this very brief thing, then you can start seeing everything clearly. Again, is it helping the average person? No, of course it's not. Governments use inflation as a stealth tax that no one gets to vote for, other than voting for the people that are voting for it, obviously. And they don't always do what you think they're going to do, clearly. That's a story for a different day. But in order to steal the wealth of its citizens, it uses the stealth tax to pay off all of its boondoggles and claptraps. Then they directly tax you as well. So they indirectly tax you through inflation or shrinkflation. So companies just giving you a chip bag with half the chips in it. But they directly tax you now, like the Biden administration, et cetera. They directly tax you. Hey, we're increasing corporate taxes, which that just gets filtered down to the average person. What do you think? The business is just going to, yeah, you're right, we're going to take a loss this year. No, they just funnel those costs, raise their prices, and then the prices go down to the average person. So anytime you hear tax the rich or tax the corporation, that's always a dog whistle for taxing the middle class and the poor. Always. Inflation is stealing from the poor and the middle class because most of them have their wealth in the dollar, and so you're stealing from them there. And then you're saying we're going to tax the rich, direct taxation, even if they say it's not towards the middle class and poor. People making under 400,000 or making 250,000. Well, those people don't matter. It doesn't matter for inflation. They don't care because they have assets. They go up in purchasing power. They win at the end of the day because they can just refinance, pull that money out, and making more money. But the people in the poor and middle class, those costs, that added taxation just gets tacked on to the cost of things, or they get less in their chip bag for the same amount. So the poor and middle class are losing both ways. So don't let government, politicians, or any of these yahoos tell you otherwise and try to win you through, we're going to tax the rich and pay their fair share. You notice they never tell you what the fair share is, ever. It's just like climate change or ESG. It's just like the war on poverty, the war on women, the war on terror, all these generic, far off things that have no mission. There's no mission, there's no outcome, there's no clarity, there's no goal, there's no end date, there's no budget for it, nothing. It's just this boondoggle that we're going to throw trillions and trillions of dollars at it. Poverty, we threw trillions at that. Poverty is almost verbatim. It's actually a little bit more now, but it's verbatim, the exact same percentage as it was 50 years ago when we started that. We have the war on terror. We left with our tail between our legs for 20 years and $7 trillion. So what are we getting for this? We're should be shipping trillions of dollars now over to Ukraine as we move forward to pay people off and do things. So at what point do we, as human beings, as adult human beings, say, you know what? I've had enough of this. You're all gone. You're done. This is insanity. I'm not going to keep being insulted right to my face and people just telling you, you're a moron. You're a moron. You're a moron. You don't get it. Jonathan Gruber is the greatest point in the world, the greatest person, the greatest symbol of this in the world. Down here, the lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. Call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever, but basically, that was really critical for us to pass Obamacare. Hello, we've used this so many times. These people think you're the dumbest people on earth. They literally could care less about you. They don't care about you. Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, the Bidens, Kerrys. None of these people care about you. The Bush family doesn't care about you. The Clintons don't care about you. None of these people care about you. They're all in bed together. They go into the same schools. They do the same thing. They hang out at the same parties. This is insanity that we just take it in the face. We're insulted. Our intelligence is insulted every single day by these people, whether it's the White House press secretary coming out and insulting you to your face, or it's the president himself or herself, or it's the vice presidents, or it's financial media, or it's your financial planner, because they have no idea what's going on. It's a 30-year-old kid who's never managed money, never been in a down market in his life, but he's going to manage your money. What are we doing? What are we doing? Then they don't tell you where all that cash is going. They tell you it's going to be your patriotic duty to pay your taxes. No, it's not. That's not how America started. 1773, we were started on a tax revolt. That's really how America started. We didn't have taxes for forever. And then 1913, we had the income tax come around, Federal Reserve, and that's when money got destroyed. Now we have currency, fiat currency. It only has any value because the government says you have to pay your taxes in that legal tender. That's it. No one would use it. If tomorrow they said that's not legal tender, what would that dollar in your pocket be worth? It'd be worth zero. It'd be worth nothing. You could just go use it as fire starter. So that should tell you that money that is not worth anything. So why are you holding it? Because now it has zero value at all. Again, what they don't tell you is where all that cash is going and how it's being spent. Likely, no, not likely. It is the biggest racket of all time. It's not just going to 10% for the big guy. Oh no, it's going to all kinds of different things as well. You'd be appalled if you saw where it's actually going, and that's why they have lack of transparency. That's why it takes hundreds of hours of digging if you just want to get in to see things. This is why our politicians that we vote for to do the job we can't do because we're living our own lives and raising our own children and living our own existence and doing our passions, our callings. We vote for other people to represent us, a federal, constitutional republic, representative republic, to go vote for us and represent our views. But do they do that? Of course not. Of course not. And then therein lies the lack of transparency. Well, we know the American voter is too stupid to figure out what's going on, A, or B, doesn't have enough time to do it. So we're going to pass it and then see what's in it. Nancy Pelosi on line 3, and she just said it again the other day. I mean, and they just slap you in the face. Oh, you're an idiot. I'm going to slap you again. I'm going to slap you again. I'm going to slap you again. Just keep on going. We're just going to keep slapping you in the face. And they just keep robbing you blind. Keep robbing all of us blind. And that's exactly why they aren't transparent. Again, unless you do tons and tons of digging. And look up, what are you going to look up? The 1,500-page omnibus bill? The 800-page, new spending bill for Ukraine or whatever? Again, Jonathan Gruber's Obamacare, Obama's healthcare czar, Jonathan Gruber, was the Obamacare architect, and it said exactly that. The lack of transparency was a great political tool. And here's the quote of him saying it. You can look up we've showed the video on here multiple times. Here's I wanted a quote of it. We've showed the video on here. It's a minute-long clip, still on YouTube, of him literally saying, and just being, the biggest, yahoo you've ever seen in your life, just so smugly, it's the lack of transparency is just a great tool. It's a great political advantage. I mean, the guy just thinks he walks on water. And these people are literally the lowest rung of society, and yet they're running all of our lives and making decisions for all our lives. By the way, did you know that Obamacare, which is supposed to save everyone money, which, by the way, my healthcare premiums for the last 9 years, 10 years have been up, went from $200 a month to $1,200 a month. So I would like my hundreds of thousands of dollars back that I paid in the last 10 years. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So not only did it not do that, it cost $840 million. I just saw the other day in an article from a number of years ago, $840 million to create the Obamacare website. I don't know about you. I've created many websites in my life. We used to have clients we build websites for. We have it for our own real estate business. We have websites. They cost $1,000, couple thousand dollars to maintain for the year. That's it. This isn't that hard. 10x that cost, we'll say. Because who knows? We want some things going on there. Bells and whistles for the people. $840 million, and it still doesn't work. It didn't work then. It failed its beta testing and rollouts. It still doesn't work. $840 million because there's no incentive for government to do anything efficient or take care of your wealth. That's your money. That's not their money. They're taking your wealth, all of our tax money, and then going and just, wee, you get a car, you get a website, paying 10% for the big guy, paying that person off, paying that lobbyist off, paying that guy in South Sudan off, paying that guy in Ukraine off, wee, see you next week. This is insanity. Bitcoin fixes this. A transparent ledger for all to audit clearly and succinctly, plus an immutable and unchangeable supply doesn't allow for unlimited wealth stealing by the unproductive class. If you haven't noticed, I bring up Bitcoin in many of these articles, and it's because Bitcoin fixes so many things. It's not because I like just saying Bitcoin or because I get a monthly dividend from Bitcoin, because I don't. I don't get any of those things. It's because Bitcoin fixes this. All I want is fairness and reality and truth and meritocracy to play out, so that way the average person can live and have their wealth go up over time as they want to go just live their life and go to work each day and get off the hamster wheel. And then we can run business and investments better so the average person can understand that, and it's not just run by oligarchs and the money printing or the currency printing and just artificial insaneness. And who knows the guy that's running this and running the currency spigot, and who's the closest to it, and who's robbing everyone blind, and who's in bed with this person literally and figuratively. Can't we just have a society that's built on rules and not rulers? Because right now we have rulers without rules. That's why. Again, if you haven't noticed, please go look at many of my. I very rarely. I've done a couple articles, or a couple blogs, a couple videos on the price of Bitcoin and where it can go in the future. If you've noticed, 1 out of 10 of them are about price and making someone wealthy or whatever it might be, because that's the least interesting aspect. The most interesting aspect is it takes power away from the central banks. It takes power away from these unproductive, lowest rung of society people that literally grift and graft their way and steal their way and schmooze their way up to the top, and then make life living hell for all of us and tell us what we're going to do with our lives and tell us how much we're going to pay for everything and make terrible deals for us and make backroom deals for themselves. And they're insider trading, Nancy Pelosi or Dan Crenshaw, whatever, saying I'm in politics, because this is the only way to do it now. I mean, screw you. Who in the world are you? It's just absolute insanity. I don't know. Am I the only one that feels like this? It's just insane. All I want is the average person to have a fighting chance. I want an equal playing field. I don't want equal outcomes, because merit needs to play out. But we need equal playing field. And right now we have a playing field that's slanted like this. It's almost vertical. Good luck. You got the people up here at the top. It's a vertical. You can scale the side of that building by yourself, and there you go. You get to the top somehow. This one financial metric is never explained. Definitely not in school, because most teachers have no idea what it is. Purposely, they aren't taught it in school either. It's never explained in the media by financial planners, or else you'd be tuning in somewhere else and figuring it out on your own if you knew. And most parents don't know either, because, again, most people weren't taught these things in school growing up, so how are kids going to learn? It's real interest rates. Real interest rates. Not the interest rate you see, that's the nominal rate. When you see just the ticker, the number that you see, that's the nominal rate. What's the real interest rate? And how they affect you in every single day of your life. Again, this is kind of lifting the fog, lifting the smoke screen. Why are so many people worried about retirement or how they're going to meet bills at the end of the month? Yet they do little research on how to take care of their money and build their wealth. This is the simplest way governments pay off their insanity and steal your time and energy without having to ask you, is through negative interest rates. You used to be able to save $1 million, not all the time, but there were times, as you can see here, there were different times throughout life where if you had $1 million over the course of your working life, you could put it in the bank and live off of 15% interest. You could live off the $150,000 a year you were making in interest and never touch the principal. And again, you can see that it's only a couple times throughout life where it's 10% or more. And you can see a lot of the time it's really just the 3, 4, 5% range, probably on average about the 4 or 5%. And right now we're down at 0, and we're well into the negative now. That doesn't even really go into where we're at now, which is down here, which you're going to see in a moment. Which we were there in the 40s, and we were there in the World War II, and we were there in World War I. How to calculate this metric that's literally killing your wealth and retirement silently, with rates that pay you 0.01% at best, and inflation at 8 or 9%, CPI, the government. But we know the real inflation is actually double that if we use the 1980 metrics before they screwed with them. That gives you an interest rate, that gives you a negative interest rate, but it's a small sleight of hand that most people don't realize. If you have $10,000 in the bank and you are making that 0.01% interest in your bank each year, but inflation is 10%, well, that's dang near negative 10% interest rate you're paying, meaning you are losing. If you're saving in dollars, that's all you have, or you have a lot of dollar denominated assets, you're in essence just losing 10%. So you have $100,000 in the bank, well, at the end of the year you got 90. You got $1,000 in the bank, well, at the end of the year you have 900, and then it just keeps compounding each year. That's what inflation does. You are paying to have the bank just hold your currency. Not only does inflation increase the cost of living and everything you're paying for in your life, you are losing currency just by sitting idle and doing nothing. So making no decision, doing nothing at all, is still the decision, and you are still being affected. Hence why you see cash from the top 10% of individuals flowing into stocks, real estate, cryptocurrencies, etc. And you've seen the asset prices of those things explode the last couple of years because people are running with their cash trying to find places to put them. And again, assets are the place to be in an inflationary environment. Real assets, generally things that hopefully provide cash flow or debasement hedges like gold and silver and Bitcoin. Not liabilities, not cars, jet skis, and boats. Those are liabilities. You could turn them into assets if you if you rented those things out or put them in a charter and made more money than you're actually paying on them, but that's a different story for a different day. Those are generally just, if you're going to buy a Dodge Challenger and you have it you're sitting in your driveway or something like that, that's generally a liability. So you hopefully have something that's paying for that. But what about the DXY and the strength of the dollar, Brandon? People, the dollar is great. People are hearing things like that. The strength of the dollar, it's going up. So, what gives? The DXY tracks the relative strength of the dollar, which is comparing the dollar to all other fiat currencies of the world. People have been talking about, well, the euro, it's so low. Oh, the dollar is doing so great compared to all other currencies. Well, number one, that's crushing every other country in the world right now. So you celebrating the dollar going up means all the other currencies are getting destroyed. That's why you've seen riots. That's why you've seen Sri Lanka collapse. You've seen all these countries, riots breaking out everywhere. People can't afford their living because now the dollar, a lot of these countries are paying off things in dollars, and now the rates have doubled. So it's like having a adjustable rate mortgage, and now just imagine your mortgage payment went up double in the last 6 months since the dollar's been going up and just crushing all the other currencies. Mike Maloney is famous for saying that all the currencies are flying, along with gold, are flying in an airplane. So you see this along here along the top, that's gold, just maintaining its value, just like Bitcoin would, same thing, it's just maintaining its value. It just, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin, or 1 ounce of gold equals 1 ounce of gold, because that's true money. And this is fiat currencies versus gold, the big one since 1900. The currencies all jumped out of the plane with their parachutes, and gold stayed in the air, maintaining its value in a straight line, while the currencies are all falling in value against gold that are parachuting down to earth, some just faster than others. The dollar falls much slower than the other fiat currencies, blinding people to the fact that it is still losing value to gold or other real assets like Bitcoin. So that's why, again, here you see that the dollar is up here and it's falling slower than the British pound, the Japanese yen. So, and again, they're not all the currencies on here, but this paints the picture of what's actually going on. They just have their parachutes bigger. It's helping them come down slower, but they're still falling against gold, against real money, because all these other fiat currencies are nothing. The dollar is nothing. It's just a confidence game, and it's falling slower in value than all the rest of the currencies. The dollar continually loses value every single day since 1913, hence the negative rates and what's going on. Money holds its value or maintains or increases value over time. That's why the dollar and all these fiat currencies can't be considered money. They're just currencies. That's all they are. All of them are losing value to real things, to real assets, to tertiary, tier one primary assets. That's the game. If you understand what we just talked about in the last couple minutes, that is the game. Real interest rates and what is truly money and what is not. When you're operating and trying to hold pieces of paper that are worth nothing and thinking you're going to get wealthy over time, that's a losing game in an inflationary environment. In a debt-based economy, the dollar is debt. We have to print currency, meaning the dollar has to be debased and it has to lose all of its value and go to zero eventually. And it almost has. It's lost 99% of its purchasing power since 1913. And it's going to lose 99% more from here. So let's think about what that means. The solution, hard money. And again, then here's Bitcoin. So same thing. If you're holding Bitcoin and it's flying across here at the top, this is the last 5 years, the dollar compared to Bitcoin just crushed. Absolutely. I mean, it just fell, already hit the earth, and it's just been bouncing and rolling along the earth. The solution, hard money like Bitcoin and silver and gold are the only assets to maintain or increase our purchasing power over time. Even stocks and real estate have generally been flat, especially the last 10, 12 years, and gone sideways. So they haven't kept up or they haven't exceeded inflation. They've just been flat. So people think they're running into real estate and stocks and making out, but they're really just kind of treading water. So next time someone is touting the interest rates they're getting or how inflation is coming down, you can let them know that the real interest rates are extremely negative and have been for a long time, and they need to get themselves into real assets, hard money, hard assets that are going to maintain or increase purchasing power over the long term. You must be I don't even know what I'm doing here, but you must have at least 18% in any investment to beat inflation. Otherwise, your wealth is being eroded. Rates will continue to be negative as it's the stated objective of the International Monetary Fund and all central banks to use financial repression, which you have videos about on here as well, and the actual working papers where they say we will not have deflation here. we will have more inflation, we will destroy everyone's value of their currency, and we will keep print our way out of this, destroying and inflating everything away and transferring all the wealth, all the value of their currency to us so we can pay off our debts. They will financially repress everyone excuse me, through inflation and negative real interest rates in order for them to pay off their debt by stealing your time and energy, which, as we know, money is just an economic container of your time and energy. Pass it on. Stay strong. I hope you got something out of this. Please let me know if you did or if you did not, what we can do better to provide more value, entertainment for you next time, what you didn't like. Again, please let me know. Like and subscribe. Please share it if you know anyone that could get something out of this as well. Really appreciate that. And go check out, excuse me, the other videos we've done recently. The videos we just did yesterday about some of the keys to my success growing up playing professional hockey, investing in a lot of the investing success and business success we've had over the last decade. Please, I believe this is the recipe going forward in the coming chaos. So please go check those out. Please let me know what you think there. Price controls, I predict there's price controls coming, how that's going to destroy the economy even faster and create shortages. And then the video before that, we actually have our September portfolio allocation update. So please go check those out. Please let us know your thoughts. And we appreciate your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have next to Bitcoin. The only two finite things, time and Bitcoin. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.